Welcome, everybody. We made it a little bit late, but that's okay because we are here today with Brian Eddy and Tom Kopera from Stern Pinball with their brand new game, The Mandalorian. Thanks for joining us, y'all.
Thanks for having us. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
And before we get into our conversations and everything like that, we just want to do a quick sound check with the chat. Everyone, how do we sound? Kyle, you say something too. How are you, Kyle?
Excited. My anxiety's gone, and now I'm just purely excited. We've got some fun audio today because once Emoto and I are also in the same room.
No, we sound good, so you don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
Sound good. Confirmed by Mr. Loaf.
Now, what about our guests?
Yeah.
How do we sound?
Yeah.
Hopefully we sound well. Everybody can hear us.
All right, I'm going to turn up Kyle just a little bit. All right.
I can hear everybody very well.
Perfect. All right. Well, here we are with the Mandalorian. We got the Mandalorian Pro. We are borrowing this from Bang Back Pinball Lounge here in Columbia, South Carolina. And then we'll bring this game back to there. And tomorrow we're going to do another stream with Mike Vinicor and do more gameplay. But for this stream, we're going to talk about all of the insides and outsides of the Mandalorian and this awesome design that this team put together.
It'd be fun. We've been nerding out about it for a little bit here while we were getting stream ready. So, yeah, I mean, if we're ready to jump in, do you want to say anything about the giveaways and stuff first?
Right. So I put a link in the chat, everyone, for the giveaway. You see the giveaway timer up there. As soon as that runs out, we will do a random drawing. So make sure you sign up. And we're going to be giving away some Mandalorian banners that you can see behind Kyle. They're super awesome. And we'll have at the end of the show, a signed translate that Brian and Tom are going to sign and send to you. If you guys haven't already, get ready for that. It's coming.
We'll watch out for that
Get
one.
your Sharpies ready.
Maybe we can get a few other
right.
people to sign it too. We'll see.
Yes, please. Yeah, get the whole team to sign it. That would be awesome. All right, I dropped that link in. All right, let's talk about this game.
Okay, well, I think we should talk about the people, and then we will get to the game. We've got two people with decades of pinball experience with us here today, from back in the Williams days, and have spent some time at Stern, too. Let's go back to the 90s, and let's start with Brian. Everyone knows you for some of the greatest and most well-received pinball games of all time. When did you start in your coin-op or pinball career?
Yeah, it was quite a while before for those games. I think I joined Williams in 1989. So that was the first. I had been a programmer before that, doing things on my own back in the day from like Commodore VIC-20s and Commodore 64s and stuff. But I actually moved to Chicago to join Williams at the time to make pinballs. And I was like super excited. I was working with all the greats of the industry and people who created some of my best favorite video games like Joust and Defender and stuff. So it was incredible for me to start at a point. And I started out as a programmer, so I programmed. You'll see my name on probably 8, 9, 10 or whatever games at the beginning before I moved into designing games. So it was a great foundation to understand everything, the ins and outs, and then being able to move on to designing was again, it was a great dream of mine. So it was very exciting.
And first game that you actually designed the layout of a playfield for was The Shadow?
Yep, was The Shadow. It was the first one.
I love that game.
And at the time we thought, the movie studios were pitching The Shadow as the next Batman. So it was like this big license that they were working on. So, looking back at it, I think we did integrate that movie and the sound and the effects and the action into it pretty well. Unfortunately, the movie wasn't the biggest movie that they had hoped for, and it didn't take over Batman: The Shadow. But I think we still made a fun game out of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a great game. One of those games that I think might be overshadowed by the next pair of games you did for Attack from Mars and then Medieval Madness.
Yep.
Which were great successes at that time. What were the numbers that those games sold?
They didn't. I mean, we were starting on the downturn of pinball at the time, so they didn't have the numbers that some of the earlier games did. So I think they did around 4,200 each.
Yeah.
Which wasn't huge compared to when we were doing some games over 10, 12,000. I think it was Indiana Jones. Star Trek was really high too, and of course Addams Family at 20-some thousand. So compared to those, it wasn't. But we're on that downturn of pinball, that slide at the time. The numbers went down accordingly.
Yeah, that's why those games are so. But
yeah,
it's
of
funny.
course, then they reissued them. So
yeah, that's how good they were. They had to make them again.
Yeah.
And then you just recently signed back on to pinball in the coin-op world. When?
What was it? About 3 years ago now. I think I signed up to do Stranger Things. George got a hold of me, and it was just the right timing, the right time to make a change. And I'd always wanted to come back to pinball, and pinball was having a resurgence, so it was just a great combination of my timing, his timing, and where pinball was at. And it's been exciting. It's been everything I'd hoped it would be coming back. Especially because I come back to Stern too, and half the people I was making games with 20 years ago are there. So it's like coming back to family.
Yep, that's that is funny to think about. Before we started the stream, I mean, we figured there's probably at least a century worth of pinball experience, Stern pinball. I mean, probably more than 1 century, but that's why we've got these Grand Slam sets of games coming out one after another. I wasn't sure how Stern was going to top a game like Iron Maiden, and then Deadpool came out, and then a bazillion games after that have been incredible. So I say thank you for all the hard work, all of you guys. Now let's move to Tom, who also has a very colorful history at Williams Pinball as well. Can you give us your backstory?
Sure. So I got to Williams, it had to be 1990 or so. And I came with George Gomez. So George Gomez went to Williams as a new game designer, and I went with him as his engineer. I had actually worked with George at Midway and before it all became one, back in the mid 80s. And we did games like Big Bat and Hawk Avenger and some of those very early, mechanical games back in the Midway days. So then I came in the 80s, and I was George's engineer on his first 4 games. We did Corvette and NBA and Johnny and those games. And then I left the industry. Well, I went to Midway to do video games after the whole pinball thing sort of died down. I went to Midway and worked on a lot of the video games there, and then left the industry for a little while. And then I came back to Stern about 10 years ago, but I wasn't doing games. I was doing advanced R&D work. Okay. So all the new cabinets and the LCD back box and a lot of the new standards and the one-off games like Lone Ellie and Supreme and Primus and the Transformers. Those I was doing all that stuff along with all the toppers. I used to do originally I did all the toppers for the games up until Munsters. Munsters was the first time that one of the project engineers working on a game actually did a topper. So I did all the advanced R&D work and the non-game theme stuff.
So we can thank you for the over 100 pounds of pinball weight yanked out of the games. I think everyone's back thanks you.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time trying to make that cabinet better and lighter and more efficient, and take the big transformer out of it, and we got rid of that big wood back box and turned it into a metal assembly that's much more accurate, much cleaner, much lighter.
Also they're a lot easier to repair. If a shipper we've had few games come where the shipper has damaged the heads in transit, and it's so easy to just order the part, repair the head, instead of, we need a whole silkscreened head, please send that over.
Right.
There are so many benefits to, Spike 2 is an elegant system, but the actual external hardware bit is also incredible. So thank you.
Thanks.
Now, it's let's talk about this also. Tell me about Cactus Canyon, because you were credited for some of the design there. A very underproduced Williams game in what, 98 or 99?
Yeah, it was 99. So it was the last electromechanical game that they did, right? That was the last game before they did Pin 2000.
Yep.
And yes, I was the game designer on that game. So, Williams, they wanted a new game designer. They were looking for a new game designer. And so they looked internally for a game designer. And I made a pitch to be the game designer, and I got that position and was the game designer for that.
Was the design for that game something that you had maybe drawn in a sketchbook over time, or was that something you sat down and did once you were given that position?
No, I did it. I was working on it already when that happened. I wanted to do a game, and I had started on that game. It didn't have that theme when I started it, but yeah, I had been working on that prior to trying to land that role.
Fascinating. It's neat. I was actually just thinking about that before we started even the call with you guys. How 2 of the games you guys have done have had fun reactionary targets in the center of the playfield. The trolls in Medieval Madness, and then the bad guys shootout, which are probably 2 of the funnest things to do in pinball. Even though the trolls are a total sucker shot, and they always come straight back down the middle, the bad guy snipe is really fun. I was trying to think of other games that have done that, and the only one I could think of prior to that was maybe Mousin' Around, an old Bally game from the late 80s. But if you shot those reactionary targets, they just sucked the ball back down. So there was no risk-reward. It was all reward. So I don't know. I thought that was a funny... Both of you guys are here, and those are 2 fun things. Anyways, so now...
It's funny you mentioned Mousin' Around. I think I did some light shows on Mousin' Around. That's how old.
Oh, really? That's a great game. That's a underrated
it's a
pinball
quirky
machine.
game,
We actually have
yeah,
3 of them around here in this
3
building.
of them in the studio.
Yeah. One of them is extraordinarily melted. The South Carolina sun did not take long to melt those super shallow ramps, so it's the puddle edition Mousin' Around. Anywho, so now at Stern, your first game back at Stern, Brian, was Stranger Things, which is an incredible experience. That game is a lot of fun. The theme integration on that is just great. And then now you guys are worked together on this. Let's talk about, I didn't even know where to start. This is always the hardest question to ask the people that have worked on this game, or on games, is like, inspiration, first iterations. Did you have the IP in mind when you started designing this game, or was this something you kind of molded around the IP given to you?
No, this definitely started out with the IP. So, I spent a lot of time watching the show over and over again, because all we had was the first season when we started, and trying to pull the elements, the key things that, fans and people of pinball are going to kind of move toward, and making sure that I could get those into the game. And that's really where it started for me, right? When I absorbed myself into a license and trying to find those key things, those key moments, I start working with them, and then I start laying out a playfield kind of around those core themes.
Were you sanctioned to be, or were you destined to be the engineer from the beginning on this project, Tom? What brought you over from the R&D side to being a mechanical lead engineer on a project again?
So one of those off schedule projects was Elvira, House of Horrors, and so again, it wasn't a cornerstone standard product, the Elvira product. So I got tagged to do that because I did those odd things. So I had done Elvira, which was my first full commercial game for Stern since Rolling Stones, and then. So then I was going to work on Stranger Things, and I started on Stranger Things with Brian, and then I got waylaid on that project and didn't finish it. That got handed off. So then when, I was supposed to be Brian's engineer, and then so when we got to Mando, I was already in queue to do that.
Okay. Let's talk about iterations of said game. Of course, pinball is not easy. Pinball is very hard. and it takes there are trial and error and iterations of what we would call a whitewood. Is that a term that you guys still use?
Yep.
So where did this game start? How different is the basic layout of this game from what your first sketches may have?
Yeah, it's not vastly different, but we did change a few things after going through the whitewoods. Originally, we had 2 shots up the center. But there just wasn't enough space to make those comfortably from the flippers. So we ended up changing up the center to 1 shot. When it was 2 shots, one of the shots, the one on the right side, would have led to the mini playfield. The one on the left side was similar to what's there now. But it was just too hard to make those shots. They were clunky and there wasn't enough space. So we decided to make it 1 shot up the center, and we changed how you get to the mini playfield over to the left ramp and had a diverter move into it. So that was probably the biggest physical change on the playfield. There's a lot of nuances, right, of moving stuff around and adjusting sizes and spaces and stuff, but that was probably one of the big things that we changed right from the beginning.
So do you think, I guess this is all, was this a smooth project?
You know, I think, are any projects smooth?
Right, as smooth as they can be.
As smooth as they can be, I think. Yeah, like Tom said, I mean, it really did. I mean, the team was awesome on this. Everybody kind of came together and knew what we were building and made smart choices and clever solutions to some of the problems we had along the way. So I think this is probably about as smooth as they go, but it was still really intense. It was a little bit short in schedule, and dealing with licensors is always tough. Disney's a big company, so they're very particular about what goes with their name. So we had to jump through a lot of hoops there too. But considering all that stuff, I think, Tom, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think it went pretty smooth.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't. There are times where you end up, down a rabbit's hole where you're chasing something that's just never going to work. And we were very careful. Fortunately, we didn't fall into any of those traps. Everything we wanted, we were able to accomplish and get the ball to do. Early on, we abandoned the 2 shots up the middle because we looked at it, we tried it. We're like, those are 2 really, really hard shots, and we quickly talked ourselves out of that nonsense and into something that was much better, which is where we ended up. And I think, some of that has to do with the fact that we've done this a lot and we've chased a lot of those endless pits, where, we can make it a little better and let's try a little more and let's try, version number 9 and version number 14. and I think we're maybe a little bit experienced enough to know that, we tried a couple of things and said, that's never going to meet our standard. That's never going to do what we want it to do. Let's look at an alternative. And so I think that allowed this process to go, again, as smooth as it can go.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean it was smooth. It's just
no, it's a ton of work. It's a ton of work.
There's something to be said. I guess in racing they say there's no replacement for displacement, but they also, there's no replacement for experience like that. To realize and catch yourself when you are jumping down a rabbit hole. Now, really quick, just to clarify for myself, when you say up the middle, we're talking about the Razor Crest shot. You were trying to fit 2 shots through that?
Yeah, at the back where that center ramp starts, in that space back there is where there was 2 shots.
Can you show it with the handheld?
Yeah, you've got like 1.25 inches of space there. That's like just the size of a pinball.
We did shrink it all up, to just make it 1 shot because we didn't need one quite as wide. But there still wasn't quite enough space to make 2 shots comfortable. Right. And we really wanted the mini playfield to be accessible. We didn't want it to be really hard to get up there. So it just made sense to move it over to the ramp.
Let's jump off this camera really quick, Emoto. I still got some more questions there. That is an extraordinarily smooth shot. So I'm glad that shot is it's an important shot, but it's also quite accessible. A lot of the shots on this game are just incredibly smooth. We were talking about, I found that the left ramp is extraordinarily satisfying to backhand. The first time I got to play this game was on location. I was on holiday last week, and I found a bar in Nashville, Tennessee that had a Mandalorian. So I got to spend some time playing it, and it was a different experience to me, being as privileged as I am. I get to play these games and set them up out of the box and just go to town and figure it out. But it was really fun and rewarding to be able to play something that I had not played, not seen before, the traditional way, the real experience of pinball, paying money, flipping the ball. And, you know, stepping straight up to it, I looked at that left ramp and I was like, you can't backhand. That's impossible. That thing, look, it's totally set to be a right flipper shot. I'm not even going to try it. And then today I tried hitting that, and it is such a smooth, screaming ramp. And it is so steep. It's deceptively tall, but you would never, ever, ever guess that that ramp was the angle that it's at, way that the ball just flies around it. The orbits are just so delightful. There are times when you can nail an orbit and it comes back and you can just reactionary flip again and you can get these orbits just flying. Every ramp is smooth, and there's like every kind of shot. The kinetic choreography on this game is just, I don't know. I don't have enough adjectives in my vocabulary to explain. You need to go out and play it yourself. So please go find a location that has this game, put quarters or dollar bills in it, and enjoy. But the overall choreography too, not just the physical actions of the ball. That's my favorite thing in, right? Is seeing something really neat and saying, I want to make the ball do whatever that's supposed to do. I'm simple. I don't get into deep rule sets because I'm not good enough at pinball. But when you see something that just looks exciting, like all these ramps, these U-turn shots, you've got a U-turn shot here that feeds back into the right orbit, and then a U-turn shot that feeds back to the left return. That's a ramp. I mean, just screaming. So thank you for designing something so rad. I can't wait to go and play this thing.
Well, and that's one of the things that maybe is lost on people. When we flip whitewoods, we make these whitewoods, there's no rules yet, right? I mean, there's no sound, there's no rules, there's none of that, yet we play those whitewoods. And so that experience is very much what you talk about. Is it fun to flip? Does the ball do fun things? Is there a lot of fun action? And so, we build all that in, and obviously Brian designs that in, and then we play it to make sure that it's smooth and it's not clunky, and you can make the shots well before there's any of the rules and the sound and the lights and all that stuff. And so, that's something we're very focused on right from the beginning. And then all the other gingerbread, the sound and the lights and the rules and all that starts to come in. And, now we want you to shoot them in a very certain order, right, to get certain awards. But it has to be fun to flip when it's totally stripped out and naked. And
yeah, that base has to be.
We work on that. Yeah.
No matter how much you dress up a shot that isn't fun to make, it's not going to be fun.
Right.
Yeah. We were speaking before while we first met each other earlier in the week. There's no simple formula for fun. There's no simple formula to make a good game, because if there was some simple to repeat, every single game would sell 10, 15,000 units, and we would all be inundated with tons of pinball. But I think you definitely hit it with this game, because it also does have a crazy deep rule set. This game really does speak to every kind of player. A simpleton like me that wants to watch the ball fly around a ramp and then jump onto a mini playfield, or someone who really wants to know what mode to carry into what and how to use this item you received from the foundry, to combine for this crazy score. So bravo, thank you.
It's always what I strive for in my games, is accessible fun to the average player, but deep enough for the hardcore player to still form different strategies and have fun. And Dwight Sullivan, the programmer, did an amazing job on helping keep that balance.
Yeah, he is good at that. And Dwight's rules are always so creative. Thinking about the other games that he's done, just Turtles. Turtles was a great example of a game that has some really creative rules that were really enjoyable. Star Wars, I mean, that's an insanely complicated, deep rule set that I still cannot figure out, and but it's still enjoyable, right? So I think there is a fine line between, accessibility and replay, right? Because we always want, especially with a lot of us buying these games for our houses or something like that, we want to make sure that we can enjoy the experience every time we walk up to the game. Or every time we go throw $1 in it at our favorite arcade, whatnot. So, yeah. I think it might be a good time, maybe let's look at some of the interesting features of the Pro. There are some interesting new mechanisms on this game. Emoto, can we do the handheld camera, possibly?
Yep. Yeah, let's do it.
Oh yeah, and on top of that, right, I mean, every amazing thing that Tom and Brian have done, but like the video assets and their integration with the modes of the game is very clever and amazing. The sound is incredible. The way that we have the great assets from the television show, which are then melded in with, the choreography of the game, it just makes for a really, it's like you are the Mandalorian, right? You're in an episode of the TV show.
I'll just have to say from my end, I watched the Mandalorian show and I was like, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. And I was like, okay. And then I played the game at 1984 Branson and then saw all the integration of it. And then I was like, man, the Mandalorian is awesome. And I went back and watched the show in the past few days, and I was just like, yes, I remember that in the pinball machine. Yes, I remember that. So it's another one of those things where the pinball machine made me fall in love with this theme. And, so that's really awesome.
I did not love the show from the beginning, Emo. It was an amazing show.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
I mean, it was good. It was quiet at first. Good. I mean, I loved Grogu, of course. And then the artwork on this is just so beautiful. Randy Martinez just did an amazing job. And there's so many little Grogus hidden all over the playfield. And I was like trying to find all of them, and they're all adorable.
Yep. Yeah, he did an incredible job.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Randy's an artist that works with Disney to do some Star Wars stuff as well.
Yeah, he's worked in the past on other Disney Star Wars properties, so he's well versed with what they like and how they work and how to get the best out of the material.
He did the comic book edition of Stern's Star Wars, correct?
Right. Yep.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Well, this game, and not to discount all the other wonderful things, the art is just incredible. Are you guys Star Wars fans at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I am. Dwight Sullivan's probably the biggest one on the team. Obviously, he did the Star Wars pin before this too, so he may be a slight level above me, but we're pretty big nerds when it comes to Star Wars, and we wanted to make sure we got all those little references in, and all those little speech calls that people would remember and stuff. Because there's a lot of hidden Easter eggs in the actual show too that harken back to the Star Wars universe, and that they did an incredible job of little points in the show of doing that, and so we wanted to do a little bit of that too.
What about you, Tom?
I'm not as big a fan as Dwight. Few are, but I am a fan. Yeah, and I had I was very eager to watch Mandalorian when it came out. I was waiting for it. So
yeah, I couldn't turn it off. My wife, who is not like the biggest Star Wars fan, was just glued to the TV show, which is funny. I was very into Star Wars as a kid. And I was so into it that I started reading a lot of the books and stuff, the fiction that expanded the universe and stuff. And I really enjoyed the TV show a lot more than I've enjoyed some of the more recent like cinematic iterations of Star Wars, because there was like just enough fan service, just enough of like this little obscure character was mentioned here, or this guy got some screen time, that just made me go, like the fangirl in me totally jumped out.
Yeah, I think it's the best thing to come in the Star Wars universe, since the trilogy, really.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's really well put together for all those reasons.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, I saw someone in the chat say that they could not stop watching and they binged watched it. And I'm pretty sure that's how 75-80% of the people consumed this TV show. Yep. Just on the edge of your seat all the time. Great TV. Anywho, let's take a look at the game. Emoto, it does say 2 minutes until a giveaway. I think we should stop not doing in-depth until we do a giveaway.
No, we'll let everyone go ahead and sign up for the giveaway now, and then let's let's look at the game. I want to see the game up close. So
Yeah.
let's show everyone.
Okay, let's just do a quick general overview then, and then look into some of the whatchamacallit, the finer
Yeah, and then when
devices.
we come back, we can talk about the premium and the differences between that. So.
Yeah. So I think as everyone has seen from the videos, the largest difference with the premium that is most blaringly obvious, mini playfield is extravagant. It moves, and everyone loves moving things on pinball machines. The mini playfield on this game on the Pro is extraordinarily challenging, but easy to figure out, just very difficult to master, like everything good in pinball. I'm excited to try it on the premium because it's a totally different flavor. We've got a really, really awesome, we've got a diverter here on this left ramp. This will slam down, divert the ball and stage it behind this stopper here. Then you've got probably the first set of stairs ever in a pinball machine, which are laser engraved with symbol of Mandalore, and then the Mandalorian's I forgot what that creature was.
That's the Mudhorn.
The
That's
Mudhorn, the crest
The
that was
Mudhorn.
engraved into, which will lead it into the mini playfield. Super fun. Then we've got another interesting target that I want Tom to kind of explain to us. Razor Crest target here is a swinging target, and it's almost like a vary target, kind of a reminiscent thing, old. But this is a target you can hit, but you need to really deliberately hit it. Slam the ball back and come up through this center ramp here. And it's kind of neat. We'll talk about the technology there after we are quickly giveaway. I think this was a mandatory insert. Also, this rad model of the Razor Crest. Might need to but yeah, ramp, like I said, is incredibly super smooth. It goes behind the back plane here to exit along the right side of the playfield, which would then cross back over the playfield down to your left in lane. And then you've got this U-turn shape ramp here. This is a ramp. It does send the ball up where it's hot on another neat mechanism. Yeah. That would probably be better because I'm just blabbling. Sure. Okay, so ignore everything I just said because it's mostly incoherent. Let's let Emoto do some really awesome cinematography here. And since these gentlemen cannot see through this lens on this camera, how about you guys start through the game, and then Emoto can aim the camera. Oh.
Yeah, do you want to start from like a shot pattern? Maybe we go left to right or something, or
Sure, yeah, let's go left to right.
yeah. I mean, we start on the left side with an orbit shot, of course, with a spinner on the left orbit shot, and that can either go all the way around to the right flipper, and that's smooth, really smooth on a shot, or it can be diverted into Grogu the child up at the top. So if you look way in the back, it's hard to see. There's an up post that if the ball hits, it will divert into the child.
Which will then, but then we've got our rollover lanes with pop
Right.
bumpers
Well, then do
underneath.
your classic
Take it to the
rollover.
lane.
Yeah, and then fall into the pop bumpers. So that's the first shot, and then the next one over is the scoop, the left scoop, and that's where we start a lot of the modes and give some of the big awards like extra ball. It's where missions start, and it's a good place to hold the ball and satisfying shows we play during it. Like all the modes, actually, the mission modes, all end with that shot, so that we can play some of the feed the film moments back when you make those shots. And it's a pretty satisfying shot. You can backhand it, or you can hit it from the right flipper and backhand it from the left flipper. And then if we move over again, we have the left ramp. That's the steep ramp you're talking about, Kyle. And that one goes all the way around back to the left flipper to start doing some flow patterns. or it gets diverted into the mini playfield with that diverter we were just showing that goes up and down, depending on the state of the game. So when it gets diverted into the mini playfield, it gets held there. I think it's a pretty clever little diverter that actually comes down and holds the ball to stage it for you to get ready. Because when you enter into that mini playfield, it's like a fast experience. So we wanted to give you that moment to, okay, I'm ready. Here it goes, right? And then it drops down. You get the tink, tink, tink right into the mini playfield area. And the mini playfield, I think, on the Pro is really fun in a different way than it is on the Premium. On the Pro, the ball is going to come down, bounce over to the right flipper, and you can't capture it. So it's just like constant action up there. And what I find is that if you bump the game a little bit too, especially when it's on the left side to get it back over to the flipper, or just to keep it alive up there, you can play it a little bit longer. So it's an interesting skill set of flipping and timing and a little bit of bumping to get the most out of it. And it turned out actually really fun. We went through a lot of different iterations and spacing and sizes of that to make it feel fun. And I think it turned out well in the end for that type of experience that we wanted. And then when it exits that, it rolls back out to the right orbit, which rolls to the right flipper. So it's a good feed when it exits out too. A lot of times you can exit out of that playfield and it'll land just right on that right flipper. You can send it right back up that left ramp into the mini playfield again.
Keep the fight right back, yeah.
You didn't do well. It feels really good to just nail that right back up into it. So that's the left ramp area. So then we go up the center. The center is the easy shot. It's a really fun, it's a really smooth shot. It can be hit from either flipper, right up the center. Smooth shots, a wide amount of space that you can flip and still make that shot. So we put multi-ball on that too, because it's a really fun thing for players of all skill levels to get, and it's not too hard in this game. And the playfield works really well with the multi-ball, so it's really fun. But when you shoot up that ramp, we also have a ball hold. It's a new device that Tom developed to hold the ball at the end of that center ramp. So once you qualify multi-ball, which I guess we should talk about the Razor Crest too, which is up the center too. So that hanging, swinging target that we told you about, that's what you have to hit X number of times, 3 the first time, to qualify multi-ball, and then you shoot up the center to actually start multi-ball. So it's really easy to do. It's a big target. It's got the flashing engines on it, so it's really fun to hit. And it's not always a perfect hit, right? You gotta have a good hit on that thing to register it. So it's definitely an interesting play balance of trying to make sure you hit it well. So once you do hit the shots up the center to qualify multi-ball, the ball gets held at the exit of that center ramp. And when we start multi-ball, we do the big show to start and kick out all the balls, then it rolls right out from there. And what's cool is then it rolls back down and feeds the left flipper. Mm-hmm. So anytime you shoot up the center, it will feed that left flipper. So you can shoot from the right flipper or the left flipper, and the flow will take you back to a flipper. So as far as lining up shots and how you play, it's definitely convenient because it's not a hard shot to make. We'll always get you to that left flipper. So that's the center shot. And then we move over one more step, and we have the little loop that goes underneath the right ramp. So this is a quick horseshoe loop. That wasn't actually in the game originally either. That came later with a suggestion from some of the people at work. Hey, could we fit something in there? And I came to Tom kind of late in the development and said, we really should. It was a good idea. We should try to really fit this little loop in there. I think it was actually Nick Wayna who suggested it. And,
right.
And I thought, if I could actually fit it. So I started fidgeting with stuff and putting some ball guides in, and it barely fit, but it's such a fun, satisfying, smooth shot, the way it whips around. And it's not a perfectly controlled shot either, so it adds a little bit of that chaos that you want on the playfield too. And then, of course, on the Premium, when we talk about that, it does something a little bit different too. But it's a fun, quick loop that adds some variety of randomness that's happening on the playfield. And then one more shot over, we got the right ramp. This is a quick horseshoe-like loop, again, that takes you back to the left flipper. So it's, again, a pattern of loops that you can pass the ball from right and left ramps back between the two flippers. And this is a tight shot, so this is probably, in my opinion, this is the hardest shot on the playfield. But it's really smooth when you hit it. And it's also one of the things like in the skill shot at the start when you're shooting a ball, if you hold the left flipper in, the ball will go all the way around. If you don't hold it in, it goes to Grogu and the lanes at the top for a skill shot. If you like all the way around, there's a super skill shot. And it'll land sometimes just perfectly from the shooter onto your left flipper, and it'll go right up that right ramp, and it feels so good. And it's actually a 3-stage thing for the super skill shot that happens there, and it all kind of flows together. But it's a nice flowing shot. It's quick back to the flipper, and it's great for passing between flippers. And then the last shot really is just the right orbit, which is similar to the left orbit. It can either go all the way around and feed to the left flipper, or it can be diverted up at the top with that up post into Grogu's area. And we play with that in different ways, right? A lot of times the right one always goes to the lanes and the left one goes around, but in different modes in the game, they both go around. Just depends on what you're playing to, and it adds variety, right, to different ways of playing. One thing I find with the whole layout of the playfield is there's those times when you're playing. This is one of the big things I love in games, and I try to put in is flow. And you'll just start hitting shot from shot from shot, and you'll just keep going, right? And you just have that awesome pattern going between the orbits and the ramps and the center. And it feels really good when you hit like 4 or 5 of those in a row. And I really strive for that in all my games, to have some of that flow going. And I think those are the big elements, right? I think I got everything there.
Yeah, I think so.
That was a pretty good overview of dot map.
There's a couple other minor things like the stand-ups on the left side, the 3 over there, and the Boba Fett ones on the right that have features tied to them too. And you can actually shoot them and hit them. So there's Bounty Hunter, I think we call it, on the left side, and then on the right side, it's Boba Fett. And Boba Fett ties in with the multipliers along with a few other features. Again, like you were kind of saying, Kyle, this game really does have a great combination for your average or even your beginner player who steps up to play. They'll have something cool happen, and they'll see the mini playfield and want to figure out how to get to it, and then they'll play a couple games and they'll get to that. And then as you get deeper into it, if you're a hardcore player, it has the whole foundry and being able to buy different weapons and use them in different modes and different combinations, and go along with the multipliers and trying to figure out the best combination of when to use the different weapons on the lockdown bar and trying to get the multipliers lined up to certain features. It's got a lot of great strategy to keep it interesting for a long, long time. And I think even us from the design team haven't figured out what the optimal ways of playing, of buying the items in the foundry at the right time and using them in the right modes and getting to maximize points. So I think people will be playing for a while before they find some good strategies, and people will find strategies that they like too, that work for them, and people find other strategies that work for them too. And that's what we want. We want that variety.
What keeps you coming back? That's one thing I definitely found with this game, was I continued to want to put my money into it, continue learning and figuring out what was going on.
Yeah. And that's the great thing that we try to do is, right, we try to give you something fun that kind of pull you in. And as you get pulled in, you learn a little more and you're like, well, I wonder what that does. Oh, and I haven't seen that before. I wonder what that does. And
I feel like every time I have a ball that lasts, or a game that lasts more than 4 minutes, I find a new multi-ball also. There are a lot of hidden, fun, simple multi-balls in here that have, it's crazy. I think really quick though, we need to stop this because people are very anxious about the giveaway.
All right, I'm going to do the giveaway, guys. Is everybody signed up? Well, I hope so, because I'm pulling this list. And then afterwards, I think we should talk a little bit about Grogu, because
we can do that.
My favorite part of the machine, and I know you guys worked really hard on getting him in there, so that'll be awesome.
Where's the big Grogu?
Perfectly, Emoto. You guys can't see it unless you watch the Twitch stream, but she has
big Grogu.
Yeah. You are Grogu's father.
Hard on this Grogu, y'all. All right. I'm putting this into my generator, which y'all can't see, but it's okay. You can trust me. And we're going to be giving away one of our Mandalorian X-Stand banners, which you saw in our wide shot. And the winner is
Kyle.
John D.
Or here.
John D. from Fort Collins. So John, if you're in the chat, let us know. And you have a few minutes to claim your prize. Otherwise, we'll give it to somebody else. All right.
everyone now is saying that they are John D, as John D stands for John Doe. So apparently everyone won. Oh, okay. So maybe it was Shellschlock. Hopefully, give us your address and we will send you. Anyways, we believe Shellschlock. I believe Shellschlock. Who do I PM?
Awesome.
Just message Marco Pinball on Twitch or send Emoto an email.
No, send an email to marcotv@marcopinball.com. We'll verify your email address and we'll get your shipping address and send you that awesome price.
Right. So let's talk about the toys. There are two beautiful toys on this game. I'll let you guys take it away.
Yeah, Tom, I think this falls pretty heavily into your wheelhouse of getting these things actually moldable and made and get onto the game. So,
right. So, well, we can start with Grogu since he's in the back and he's pretty prominent. So, I mean, obviously, we knew we were going to have that in the game. We couldn't do the game without that. We spent a lot of time. So we mold our own toys. We don't buy toys and put them in the game. We mold all our own toys, and no different with this. So, we spent a lot of time having a sculpture done, a digital sculpture done, and then we turn him into an actual part. And so part of that, so we work on the digital sculpture and we get it the way we want it, and then we size it to try to get it to be what we need for the game. And of course, we want the toys to be the absolute biggest they can be without causing problems. So one of our first toys was this one, which you see he's pretty big. we need a big Grogu. This one's actually, we 3D printed this, and this is the sacrificial material. When you print on a 3D pattern, it prints from a plate, and you put in this base material, and then you actually have your real model. And we printed this, and we held it in our hand and went, yeah, that's way too big. Let's try smaller. So it didn't take long to figure out that wasn't going to work. Then we made our next jump. We're like, well, let's cut that down. And so we cut it down. And this is actually the second one. And you see it actually even has some filler material in at the bottom. But it was starting to take the shape of what we needed because we knew where it was going and we knew what it had to fit around. So we were already shaping it to fit over that ramp because he sits on top of that ramp or on top of the ramp. And we did this one and we're like, yeah, that fits, but that's not good enough. So then you can see, I don't know if you can see that these are actually a little different in size. This one's bigger. I don't know if that comes out.
Yeah, it comes through.
So we went from the giant one to the little one to the next one, trying to figure out to have the right one. So this is actually one of the very first parts out of the tool. So it's the wrong color, obviously, and it's not the final shape. And you can see here's my deciding where the bracket was going to go and how the slots were going to work. So this is actually the functional prototype I had. And then we made a few more changes, printed yet another one. This is yet another one. Wow. And this one has the bracket on it. This has the early bracket on it. This one's hollow. We cut him all out to get him to be the right size.
Giving up his secrets, Tom.
Well, you can tell what it is. And then we finally end up with,
you can hide stuff in there,
which is this one, this is a non-painted version of
it's kind of creepy.
One that's in the game. Okay. So again, this is pre-production shots. This is a pre-production shot. So we check to make sure that dimensionally it's all right, that all the shapes are good from the tool. We're not getting any scuffing in the tool. There's no deformation from the tool. We've located the pin marks and stuff where the bracket's going to go is all in the right place in the tool. So this guy is a non-painted, and then obviously they come to us all decorated, ready to go, and we put them in the game. So that's
yeah, and working with Disney, right? They're really particular about making sure Grogu looks like Grogu, and like the shade of green and the saturation, right? It has to be right so that he fits in that world. And we took a few iterations of that too, right? And I'm glad that they're really particular about it, you know, because it pushes us to make it as accurate as possible. And he turned out great in the end.
Does
we
Disney
actually did
have like a
start
Grogu
with
Pantone number, or
what was that?
does Disney have like a Grogu Pantone number?
I don't think he did. I don't think they did for Grogu, did they, Tom? I don't remember.
No. We actually sent them painted samples, and they came back and said, okay, you know, it needs a little more saturation, it needs a little more this. So they definitely tweaked the color.
That's cool.
But there's not a dedicated Grogu Pantone number. That would have made it so much easier, because then we could have just called our suppliers and said, use Pantone, 385, and it would have been done. But no, it's not nearly that simple.
Sometimes they do, but this time they didn't.
Yeah. So we actually send it to Disney, get their approval, and then send that part to the supplier and say, match this, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of moving the 2 or 3 good ones around to make sure everybody can make it right. And it's the only way to do that, because you can't take a photograph of it because the color isn't the same. It's really not the same. And even trying on a Zoom call or something, everybody's monitor is a different color. So, the only way you can really tell is to hold one in your hand. And it's very involved to get it right.
Yeah. And we did on this one, we did actually start with a 3D model from Disney, but it was set up for film and not to be made into a solid sculpture piece. So it was a good base, because we want to make sure that, we hit their image perfectly. But the amount of work that we have to do after that is pretty immense to make it into a moldable piece.
Yeah.
Now, I know this might be a kind of out there question, but George Gomez got in toys. Because George obviously has a passion kind of stuff. Does he like to be hands-on with the design and the placement of these things?
Sometimes he does, and he did play a big role in the Razor Crest in making that moldable. He spent, I think, Tom, at least a week or two, right, helping us get that into a form that could be molded.
He did, right.
And awesome. It's difficult because, again, we got the model from Disney, but it was set up for film and not to be molded. So it wasn't a closed object, and it had millions and millions of faces to it, and some weren't attached, and they were floating and hanging. And so from a distance, right, if you look at it, wow, that looks like the Razor Crest. But when you go in close to try to realize that, hey, we got to actually mold this thing. We got to make a physical object out of it. I think to do it over, we have just started from scratch and not even used a model from Disney because it was more work taking that one and reworking it. And that's George Spence and Chuck Ernst at work. They both spent a lot of time trying to get it down into something we could actually mold. Right. But it turned out awesome in the end. I think it's one of the best Razor Crests out there.
It's incredible. The details are so sharp, and the fact that the engines light up, and like I said, I kind of just want these things too.
Yeah. So I got early Razor Quest too.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see.
So this is actually a very early print of a Razor Quest. It's actually a little deformed, and you can see there's really not a lot of texture on it.
Could you bring that up a teeny bit, Tom, closer to your neck? Yeah, okay, there you go, perfect.
Yeah, so you can see that, there's some detail, but there's not all the detail we ended up with. It's actually missing its tail. But so we went through, much like Grogu, we went through quite a few versions of this. Here's another 3D printed part where I started detailing the cutout I was going to need in order to mount it and how it was going to work. So these are early ones, and then that takes us to this guy, which is actually, if you look at this, it has the structural detail that the final part has, but this is actually a solid chunk of urethane. This is molded as a single part, and then these little caps were put on as secondary parts, but all of this is just one part. Again, trying to prove that the model that we had that we were going to tool from was right and accurate and would give us all the detail that we need. And then, of course, this is an actual one. This is an injection molded one. This is the part that's actually on the game. So you can see it's got a lot more of the detail is in it. I mean, this is the final. There, is that focusing? There you go. This is the final one. It's got detail in the back. Obviously, the engines are very detailed. And this part, so to make this part, it's actually 27 injection molded parts.
Wow.
Right? So there's 4 different tools with multiple cavities in it, and there's 27 different parts, and then the whole thing gets glued together and then sent to us as a solid unit. So it's very complex. I mean, it takes a lot of engineering and a lot of different tooling and molding to make this part, but that's why it looks the way it does, right?
Yeah.
So
that just goes to show the amount of effort and time that you guys spend on minuscule details. Just fantastic.
Well, there aren't minuscule details. There's just details, and they're all important.
It's all an important
right?
part of the game.
That's why it takes as long as it takes, and that's why they're as good as they are, because every detail counts. Doesn't matter.
But pinball's easy, right? I thought it was easy.
Yeah, pinball's easy. Pinball's easy.
Since we are running quick on time, since we did start a little bit late, Emoto, do you think maybe we should do a quick? Would you guys want, Tom? Would you feel comfortable maybe showing us the SolidWorks drawing of the premium playfield for maybe 10 minutes and show us some of the differences? So maybe we could open it up to questions from the chat, or.
Sure. I mean, I can show you that if you want to see it.
Yeah, I think it's cool to see. I think people.
You can see my stubble in the camera. Sorry. Thanks, Emoto.
Yeah,
Emoto will set up the screen share in just a second. She's trying to frame my body right now. So rad. I'm waiting for Lego to come out with a Lego Razor Crest. I think that might be my next Lego purchase.
I think they did.
Yeah, there is one.
Oh,
yeah.
well,
It just came out.
Yep, just came out.
Shut up and take my money. I guess I'm doing that when I get home.
It's pretty detailed for a Lego too.
Yeah, it is.
One of those 5,000 piece sets.
Yeah, it's a big set.
My wallet is going to be happy. Unhappy.
I'm just waiting on SolidWorks to say it's okay here, and then I can bring up the playfield.
Yeah, no problem. Someone on the chat is asking when premiums start to ship. Remember that the pros go on the line, then the LEs come on the line, then the premiums go on the line. And a little bit longer before the premiums start shipping out. Are the LEs on the line right now?
Yes. Yep. That's just what I came from to come here.
Awesome.
We're just getting the LEs put together.
But yeah, with patience, all good things come with patience. So they will be here soon.
Yes.
Macho Pinball says he wants a Lego Brian Eddy. Yes. I think maybe we need to get a Lego to take everyone in the Stern crew into some minifigures.
That would be awesome. I don't think you'll see it though. Sorry.
I want a Lego Guido. That would be funny with his black cats.
Whenever you're ready, Tom, we can switch over.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get SolidWorks to run.
Yeah, no problem. I can ask some questions here. Someone, Dragger, asked earlier, are any of the Disney reps you work with pinball fans?
I think some of them are. Our main rep definitely became a fan of pinball because we worked on a number of games of Star Wars, in the pin Star Wars. So he understands pinball pretty well now, and I think he's a big fan also. There were a few things in the game that they went all the way up to Favreau about to ask for us if we could do this, right? Because Disney's very protective of their license, and they want to make sure whatever you're doing is within the Star Wars universe and it's proper to do. So some of the things like we take for granted in pinball, like shoot the left ramp. Well, they tend to have problems with that because, well, nobody in the Star Wars universe would say shoot the left ramp on the show, right? So it doesn't fit into their world. It doesn't make sense.
Yep.
So we actually did, and he went to bat for us. Our rep there, all the way up to Favreau, to say, "Hey, can we do this? It's really important to this product. It's a clean separation from the world, but it makes sense within their world." And he actually was able to get us permission to do that. So you'll hear those types of speech calls in the game, which is awesome.
Yeah, that is neat. It's helpful for people to learn the game also. I do appreciate the immersion of keeping everything in the world, but you know, sometimes when a game has like a shoot the whatever the name is ramp, like, well, which one's that? Is that the right or the left one? I'm not sure yet. So those things are definitely appreciated. Thank you, Disney.
All right, I'm ready to share this if you guys want to see it.
Yeah. So we're going to take a look at the SolidWorks drawing, which is a 3D modeling program of the premium version. We do not have one in front of us. So thanks, Tom.
So this is the premium here. You can see that the layout is similar to the Pro. This is the battlefield, the mini playfield area in the premium, which is actually, you can see that it's elevated and it rotates. It goes from flat to almost vertical. The diverter shot is the same. It's the same diverter, except we feed into the mini playfield instead of down the stair step that you guys see on the Pro. And so that this has a motor underneath it that drives it, this guy here. And as I move this, if SolidWorks will grab that, come on, there it goes.
Does that motor take a 360-degree rotation, or
is it moving? Come on.
Forward, backwards mode?
So we run it forwards and backwards, but it can turn 360 degrees and not hurt anything. Okay. So that if a switch or a wire or something is damaged and it over travels, there is no physical stop for it to run into and smash and tear itself up against. It will oscillate. The screen will, the playfield will oscillate up and down. So it homes itself and it finds its positions, and it's in a safe mode always if something were to break. So you'll see that this mini playfield actually has 2 flippers versus the Pro that has the 1, and the feed is in here from the left. And again, the angle of this changes depending upon the battle that you're in, right? So it can be it can be at the same pitch as the playfield, or it can be pivoted 60 degrees to make it, you know, a very steep battlefield. Yeah, so that's the mini playfield. This is actually on the premium. This is a scoop shot. We call this the scoop shot. And this has 2 functions on it. There's a lower scoop down here, which can go up and down. So when this is up, it's the same shot that's in the Pro, where it's a 180. You shoot in and it comes back around on you. But if the scoop is down, the ball will come up through the scoop onto this wire and then feed the left flipper.
Interesting. So is that similar to the forks that come up and down on Star Wars for the hyperspace loop, or is it completely different?
Well, I mean, it's completely different. It's a whole new mech, and yeah, but it's a very similar idea, right? That you can shoot through this, which is then that loop which comes around and comes out the orbit here, or when the scoop is down, it will come up into the scoop, across the wire, and then across into the left flipper.
And one of the cool things it does on the playfield is it allows a repeatable loop, right? And the rules work toward that too, to make it easier to get to ambush. That it feeds back to the same flipper, so you can keep going quickly.
Yeah, it's a left shot, left flipper, left shot, left flipper, left shot, left flipper. You'll also notice the premium has wire ramps instead of vac form ramps that feed back out of the right shot and the left shot.
And then we have Grogu too.
And we have Grogu.
Now, it seems on the premium, it looks like there's also a magnet underneath Grogu.
There is a magnet on the premiums in Grogu. And so this is, again, as the ball comes in here, the magnet will grab the ball, and then you'll see that there's a rubber behind it. And then after Grogu does his magic, we can actually take the ball and shoot it against the rubber to make a random shot. And then the ball will then go into the lanes. But we can control, it becomes a very random shot with the ball coming off the rubber, right?
Yeah.
It's really Grogu using the Force and giving you some type of reward. So he's kind of in control of your destiny up there, what you're going to get.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure of the positioning. When I was watching some of the videos, I thought, oh, maybe the magnet's there in place of the up-down post to divert the ball into that playfield, but totally separate.
It's an added feature.
Right. Yeah,
cool.
Added feature.
A quick question for that diverter, for that like 180-degree ramp there. Is that driven by a motor or a solenoid?
It's driven by a coil. Okay. It's a coil mech from underneath. So it defaults in the up position, and then we pull it down to activate it.
Cool. Man,
it's another one of those types of features that I really like in games, where you make the shot and then something cool mechanically happens. In this case, you make that tight little horseshoe loop, and then down comes the scoop, and you change your mode of attack, right? And you want to just keep making that loop, and while it's down for a set amount of time, as many times as you can.
It is neat. It's really it kind of turns it into a whole different game at that point. You have a shot that can go so many different, or two different places. That's really interesting. Huh. The drawing is really fascinating. I'm sorry, the model is so fascinating.
Yes.
It's really cool to see it like this in this program. It's amazing. Like,
Yeah, and
you can go upside down too and see all the wiring.
Oh yeah, you can see everything.
And there's another small added feature.
You can see Kyle through the green.
I best hide.
There's an outpost at the exit to the mini playfield, similar to the one that diverts the ball into Grogu. Yeah, and that allows us to hold the ball after you complete a level and give you a nice celebration and show before you're right back into it.
Yeah, that's neat. So does that stopper, how does that work to keep the ball in place then?
It's just an up post, so it pops up, the ball holds behind it. When it lets go, it rolls by it. There's a switch there so that we know that the ball's there, and then after we play our show, we let go of it and the ball rolls out.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, that's seriously cool.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. I think that's a really fun way to get eyes deeper into the premium without having one in front of us. So.
Yes. There is one feature too I should call out on the Pro that's not on the premium, which doesn't happen too often. There's actually a sneaky back entrance into the mini playfield. So it's right at the top, and this isn't on the premium, because it has to go up the ramp. But there's a special skill shot, and there's a special mode tied to that for the Pro, because you can sneak in the back way. And we have a special feature that we tie into that. So it's kind of fun. Sometimes the ball doesn't make it all the way around the orbit, or if you plunge just right, you can get in there and you get something special. So it's just kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was trying to do when I started playing the game for the first time.
Is that like the super secret skill shot of the game?
Yeah, a little bit. There's multiple skill shots, so.
It's a challenge. Yeah, there are a few. I saw some people in the chat being like, tell us all the skill shots. Like, that's for you to learn. That's the fun of pinball. If you know how the story ends, it's not as exciting, right? Like,
oh, that's all I want to know.
Go play the game. Someone was asking about line of sight. And I do think that's funny, because until I took the glass off and started looking at the game, I had no idea that there were 2 arrow inserts behind the Razor Crest. I am very, very tall. So my perspective of pinball can be a lot different than normal-sized humans. So
yes.
The line of sight is good, though. No frets there.
Yeah, and that's why we have multiple arrows up that center shot too. So you can.
Do each of them indicate like a virtual lock?
Yeah, they do, and when they all glow at the same time, right? And multi-ball's ready. So.
Gotcha. I think it might be time to open up. Oh wait, is it giveaway time, Imoto, before we open up for Q&A?
Yeah, we're going to do another giveaway, and then we've been collecting everyone's questions in the chat, so I'll start reading them off. Some of them we can't ask. Sorry, y'all. But if you have any questions for Brian and Tom, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we'll see if we can get to them. But for now, we're going to do another giveaway. Is everyone sign up? I hope so.
Now, Marco Ramirez asked the question, Brian, do you personally play every single LE that's on the line?
That's what we're right in the middle of doing, and that's where I came from to come do this interview. So
Yeah, that's what he was.
yes, the LEs get a lot of attention. They get a lot of attention, more attention obviously than the other ones, and we're very particular to make sure that they play well.
It shows. People are also saying I'm echoing, so I'm going to lower my speaking volume. So sorry, everybody. All right, is that giveaway ready, Emoto?
Yes. We still got a few more people signing up, so let's start asking questions from the chat. One of the first ones we got earlier was, this is from Colin Baxter. He said, were smaller flippers tried out in the upper play field regular instead of the regular size?
Yes, it's actually it's a really good question because we absolutely did try. We went through a lot of iterations of, I think I drove Tom crazy a bit, of iterations of the playfield and trying to find a balance that works well. And we did try little flippers. I think it actually started with little flippers because it fit a little easier with little flippers. But the problem we found with little flippers is you hardly have any time to react when you capture the ball for it to roll down. But by the time you react, it's done. So you weren't able to actually aim at any shots. So the feeling wasn't as fun. Once you had the versions we had with big flippers in, just ended up being a lot more fun to play. And the little flippers just weren't any fun. So that's one of those iterations we do. We do a lot of those on various parts of the playfield, and we went through a lot of mini playfields to get that feel that we have.
That's pretty awesome.
I think we had 6 or 7 playfields.
And then little iterations in between of trying different combinations. We had more targets up there originally. And
oh, wow.
But yeah, we had 6 or 7 physically different sizes and different flippers and different layouts. And we had a lot of versions.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love that curve. And when you hit it right, it's just like, oh, you get all the targets at once. Such a good feeling.
Yeah, sometimes that happens too, yeah.
All right. So another question I had, we'll have each of you take turns. Brian, you can go first. What are y'all's what are you most proud of? What's your favorite feature of this machine?
It's to me, it's probably the moving playfield, right? Because it's unique. It hasn't been on a game in that form, and it's simple yet it's challenging in both iterations. So it's something that you can jump in, you can start playing right away, and you kind of get it, and you say, all I got to do is hit these targets. But then you realize, well, it's not so easy. But then the more you play it, the better you get at it. Both of them, on the Pro and on the Premium, you start capturing and aiming on the Premium, and you learn to, like I was saying before, bumping on the Pro a little bit more. And so each one's a little interesting skill set, and it brings something a little bit different to pinball. So that's probably mine. And it's simple. The mechanism, Tom did an amazing job designing the mechanism to be simple and bulletproof, and that combination is great.
How about you, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's the whole diverter feed into the mini playfield. I mean, there were several versions of that as well, and we had several different schemes about how we were going to try to get a ball in there, and originally the playfield was going to be in one position, and we were going to load a ball and then move. And then as the playfield evolved and became more fun to play, then the way we load the playfield changed. And then it was, well, we want to be able to put a ball in at any time, no matter where it is. And it's like, well, that's not simple. I don't know where it is. How do I know where I need to put the ball? And so it was pretty challenging, and it was fun because it's challenging, and it took a lot of work to get that to be what it is. But then you look at it and you're like, oh, that's so simple, and it's like, yeah, it is now. but it was a good engineering problem to really have to work through in order to get that to work. So that was fun.
One of those issues. I said, well, just figure it out, Tom. How hard could it be?
Yeah, right.
Because I couldn't figure out exactly how to do it. So I said, Tom, here, you figure this out. And came up with something really elegant and simple, and it works incredibly no matter where it's at. It rolls right in. So we can have it moving all the time as the ball comes in, and it still works.
Yeah.
It's neat. I can't wait to check that out and see. It seems very fluid from what I've seen, so that's exciting. It's so neat having a variable plane of playing in pinball, right? With something consistently moving like that, it's always fun. It'll be a challenge for sure. This little play field on the Pro is also just intense. It's fast.
Yes. Surprisingly fun for what it is. It's a challenge every time you go in, and you'll find ways of getting better and better at it as you play. And I think that's one of the great hallmarks of a fun device is easy to pick up, but hard to master.
Get ready to see the when you all get to actually play it, the light show with the RGB LEDs up there. It's it's so satisfying to nail those targets and change the colors and get, just play it. I'm not even going to try to describe. It looks like Emoto may have found a winner.
Yep. And so I did do the random giveaway, and for our second Mandalorian awesome banner. And remember, the last one is going to be the signed translate by the Mando team. Our winner is Derek Correria from New Hampshire. So congratulations, Derek. And if you're in the chat, let us know and send us your shipping address to marcotv@marcopinball.com.
Hey,
congratulations.
Nice. He's there.
Mutter Futter, you're Derek? Oh, that's awesome. Yay.
So, Ghost City Pinball asked a really good question, and I think that this is also pertinent, which you might also be able to talk about the design, the length of time this project took as we are in a global pandemic. But Ghost City Pinball asks, how do you guys work together? Where does the design get handed off to the engineer, or is it a collaborative throughout?
You mean just in giant design in general?
I think so.
Yeah. Initially it starts with me conceptualizing, right, what's on the play field, if there's toys, the shots and stuff like that. And I'll work back and forth even during that phase with Tom saying, hey, you think we could do something like this? You think you could make something like this work? But when I have a general layout of everything, and it's not necessarily the final, but it's close enough to start making those whitewoods, then I pass it off to Tom, and he starts doing his magic to get real parts made so that we can try it out.
Or you just tell Tom, hey, make it work?
Completely collaborative throughout the rest of the process.
Yeah, we start the engineering pretty early in. Brian works for a month or so, and then we start making real parts, and then we work together through that, for the rest of the cycle.
Was there, again, I'm assuming that this project was very well underway, in 2020. Have you guys how was it, what was it like working mostly remotely also when designing this project?
Yeah, this was 100% COVID designed game. I think we were under the rules of COVID for the whole thing. So it was a little bit different, but both Tom and I have worked on the outside and before, so I don't think it was particularly strange to me. It made it a little bit more challenging, right, to get with the team and to talk about issues and stuff, but we all pulled together, and whenever there was something new to play or something to check out or something we needed feedback on, we'd all come together. And pinball is very physical, so you have to be there at some point. You have to play it. You have to try things physically. So there's a lot of times we were at Stern, right? We're all wearing our masks and working at trying to solve problems. And Tom probably even more so than anybody, right? And making sure that it went together and the parts worked. So while a good percentage of it was virtual, there's always the hands-on part that you just can't substitute. You have to do it.
Yeah, we'd go in late, like, 6 or 7 at night when everyone was gone. And then there'd be very few people in the building. So, Brian and Dwight, myself, we'd get the whitewood, and we'd start flipping the whitewood and then, break out the power tools and move stuff right then and there and, make the mods, and we'd play for a couple hours at night. But at least the building wasn't full of, 200 other people with the COVID going on. We were able to, that's one of the great things about what we do in this industry. If if you got to work at 10 o'clock at night, it's okay. And that, that allowed us some flexibility.
Yeah. And the fact that we can move playfield so easily too, in and out of cabinets. We have, me and Dwight, and we have games at home so that we can continuously tweak and play. So we don't always have to be in at Stern to do it, but obviously with all the tools and assets that are there, it makes it a little easier. But there's a lot of experimental stuff that you'll play with over days and days, and sometimes it's easier just to do with you have a game in a cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah. All right, okay, Emoto is frantically moving the cursor around. The next question, this has been asked multiple times. People are always very curious about this. With every single project we go over on this show, how long did the entire production process take from the first ideation to the first machine rolling off the line?
When did we start? I think I actually started like the end of March and April. So it took about that long to get it in. We actually ended up getting a little more time, I think, than we were planning to get into production. So that helped some. But it was a tight schedule.
That's super fast.
Yeah, that seems very quick. Yeah, that right in March. That's so a little more than a year to make this, and that seems like not enough time. I don't think I'd be past the drawing stage.
It was very intense the whole time. But it was an incredible license. We were all really excited to do it, and we wanted to do it. So we pulled together and we made it happen.
A 13-month turnaround. I mean, that's just incredible, and that just goes to show, I think, with the experience of your many decades and all the other great assets you have at the company. That's just incredible. Emoto, did you have any other of the questions asked earlier? I was trying to remember them.
I don't know if we covered this or if you guys can talk about it, but we'll throw it out there and see. Do you have any other plans to add future game modes? Similar to TMNT's Half Shell Challenge in future code updates?
There are a few surprises. I won't unveil them, but there are still a couple left. I mean, we're pretty far along in the code. I think we're at 9.6 is what we're shipping now. But we just recently had some meetings last week about a couple surprises in there. And there's some cool modes, like Dwight came up with Impossible mode and Monster mode, where you can play Impossible mode, you as the monster against two, three or other people, and you have to beat all of them. And so if you play in Impossible mode and they play in normal mode. So if you have a really good player against people who aren't as good, it's a great combination. So there's new fun modes like that are in the game menu that I think people will really enjoy. I've been having a lot of fun with them.
I know some monsters I want to play against in that type of setting. Is that already in the game, or that's coming in a future update?
It is?
How do you get to it?
If you hold both flippers in for a few seconds, the menu will pop up and you can see all the different game modes. There's co-op. There's all sorts of different, co-op 1 versus 3, 1 versus 2. There's all sorts of really fun modes in there.
Awesome. Okay, we're definitely doing that tomorrow.
Especially for the people who buy the game for the home, right? It's another way to play the games. It's especially with varying skill levels. They're just a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds great. I can't wait to mess with. What else did you have up there, Emoto?
From Mutterfutter, who just won our last giveaway, what was your favorite feature in the code layout that came out from your collaboration together?
Wow, that's a tough one because I'm not sure if there's one particular thing. From a hardcore pinball player standpoint, I really like the Foundry because it adds more depth into the game of different ways to try to play it, to try to maximize your points, depending on what's going on in the game. And I think it ties in well because playing the game, I think every time it's a little bit different experience for me. It's like sometimes I'm going to try to go for the mini playfield and try to complete it because I'm just flowing that way. Other times, I'll be doing multi-balls or I'll jump into missions. and they all kind of happen at different times. So there's always something different, and I try to take my games in different routes when I play that way. And then sometimes I'll play very specific, like I just want to complete all of the Razor Quest multiballs. That's all I'm doing, right? And then some of the other stuff will happen along the way. So I think just in general, just that whole variety of play and it being a little bit different every time, that always pulls me back. I think that and the depth of the Foundry is a great combination.
Yeah, there's a lot to be explored there for sure. Every time I get it, I try to read through what I can afford.
Yep.
And I found a way, just before we started this, a powerful way to collect all the shots that were lit. And my pitiful score went to something that I was, yeah, okay, I'm going to try that again.
Yeah.
I saw someone ask a fun-ish question. What is your favorite art package on the game between the 3 models?
Wow, that's really tough. Like the Pro and the Premium, I really love because it's such a variety of characters and that Western scape view and sunset and colors.
Yeah.
But the LE is really cool looking with the Beskar look. I think it ended up turning out to be a really sharp package, and the mirrored back glass with all the mirror on it. I think it really stands out. So I'd probably pick the LE, but it's close, man. They're all great packages.
What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I do really like the LE package. I like the Western themes, and having done Cactus Canyon, that's really close to me. But yeah, that LE is really pretty amazing.
Yeah, the
and
color
it's one of those
palette.
you have to see in person to really get
You
the
do,
full
yeah.
feel.
Wait till you see one when you're standing in front of one. It's spectacular.
Yeah, and the side armor with all the cutouts and the Anban rifle cutout, and it's a sharp package.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to say I do kind of like the collage and the Western. I really do like the art package on the Pro.
Yeah.
I think with this art package on this game, you can't go wrong. There is no wrong choice. Like most games, there's no wrong choice, but this one especially, it's cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Marco wants to know if the topper is going to blow our minds.
Of course it is. How could it not?
Yeah.
Right? Oh man.
Tom's working on it, who's done like 100 toppers, right? So.
Ooh. Oh yeah, huh?
Yeah, it is actually going to be really cool. It's going to be really cool. It's the last thing I think we have to unveil, but it's going to be cool.
People are asking about the release dates for the topper, but there's probably no actual release date. There's a lot of approvals that need to go on with licensors, etc. So unless I'm wrong, I think that's the answer.
Yep.
What else do you have, Emoto?
Is there, one of the questions from Abe Flips was, is there a preferred pitch on this game? Is it the 7 degrees or higher or lower?
I don't know if there's so much preferred. It's more of a player preference. 6.5, 7, somewhere in that range, I think is probably optimal. I feel like a little bit faster game, move it up to 7. It plays pretty well at both.
I have this one set up kind of steep. I haven't messed with it. It's set up steeper. I never really measure my pitch, but it plays very smooth. I think the one I was playing in Nashville was a little less steep, and it still plays smooth. It's just a little slower. So your mileage may vary, but experiment. See what you like. That's what I'm always trying to tell people. There's no set number. Whatever you like is the correct pitch. Except for on Deadpool, where it really does play better when it's steeper. There's a lot of questions. I'm trying to read some of them now. Is there a Werner Herzog mode? Oh, please tell me that there's going to be a Werner Herzog mode somewhere hidden. That's one thing about the cast of this show. I mean, it really is a crazy cool lineup that they had. I mean, as soon as Giancarlo Esposito came out on the screen, I was like, no, really?
Yeah, we got a lot of characters from the show, which is great. Not all licenses were able to do that, so we didn't get every single character, but we got a lot of them. So it was great to work with them. But no, I'm sorry to say that there is not a specific mode for Werner.
I guess this is always kind of a fun question, but the game's really perfect the way it is. But Anything memorable that may have been pulled out because of budget or constraint in space? Were there an iteration? I mean, we were talking about the first iteration where there was 2 shots up the center. You know, that was something that was pulled out. Anything else that would have been a big change?
I don't not think there was really too much else. We experimented with other things along the way, but I don't think there's anything else big, big change like that that was pulled out.
Yeah, I mean, even the 2-shot thing, it's not that it was pulled out, it's that that sucked. Right? Right?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, we got this great thing, but we can't have it, so we took it out. It was, that's not good pinball. We need something else. And so, yeah, there's nothing that we had in there that we had to give up that we're sad about. There's none of that. We went through many iterations of things, but it's the way it was meant to be.
Yeah, things don't, I guess that's something you always try to have to explain to people is like the good things don't get yanked out, right? The good things stay. It's the bad things that get yanked out.
Right.
Yep.
I don't think we should be asking questions about the wizard modes. You have to go and play the game yourself to figure out what this is the way actually is. You all got to stop asking the spoilers and experience the thing yourself, right? You can't read the last page of the book. What other ones do you have over there, Mona? We're at 5, so maybe we should choose the best question.
We're at 5, so we're coming to the end of our show. These are 2 very busy men. As you know, Ellie's are on the line. Brian's got to run back to the factory and test. Tom's got to get on a bunch of calls. They're like, yeah, hurry up. But we really appreciate you guys coming on. We'll let y'all drop off, and then we'll hang out in the chat for a little bit longer with everyone. But great game. We're so excited to play it. We're going to do another stream tomorrow with Mike Vinicor, and we're going to play the game. We're definitely going to do the monster versus, who's the monster versing again?
Normal people.
Yeah, normal people.
The monsters versus Emoto. So we'll make Fred Richardson the monster since he's kind of our heavy hitter.
I think you need to be the monster.
Me be the monster? I would lose terribly. But we look forward to playing more of this game. Everyone out there, so many locations all across the U.S. and outside have gotten the pros, and you can go play them. Check on Pinball Maps. Stern Pinball has a link on their website that also allows you to check to see where those locations are. And we will be at Southern Fried Gaming Expo in August 20th through the 22nd in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're going to have pros and premiums there for everyone to play. So if you can't find one local, go ahead and book your flight to Southern Fried Gaming Expo, and you can come out and play.
I think Brian and Tom might need to book their flights because I think they should come down and show off their creation. So
we'll have to talk to Gary about that.
If Gary, if you're watching, please send these fellas down to Atlanta.
They'll be working on their next game by then, so
yeah,
they're busy.
Yeah, but everyone needs a vacation, right? Yes. Thank you very much for joining us. It was really excellent to talk to you guys. I feel like we could sit and talk for a really long time about all sorts of things pinball, but I think the next project is probably needing some attention right now. So
yes,
appreciate it.
Want to get you guys your LEs. So
all right.
Yeah,
get your signing hand ready. Hopefully you don't have a sore wrist.
All right. Well, thank you all. You guys can go ahead and sign out, and I'm just going to play the trailer, and I'm going to mess with the layout.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, go all crazy.
Thanks
for having us.
I'll wave at the Zoom camera. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Yeah.
And also, is my mic live, or are you messing with the layout? Yeah, I mean, thanks. I know that I've seen a couple other folks from Stern in the chat. I've seen Eric in here. I think Vinicor's in here also. Thank you very much for letting your wonderful, busy employees join us on our stream. It's always a pleasure, and I feel it's an honor. I am not a very qualified interviewist, so thank you for letting your people come and talk to me. Thanks. Mike is live. Yeah, good thing I asked, because I'm never sure what I can say. Wow, people are really nice in the chat. Why do we have such a positive audience? The internet is not supposed to be this positive. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, it looks like Mike Vinacore says he'll be there, so it'll be amazing to have Mike again. You know, it's I didn't get to see him for a whole year. It kind of sucks. It'll be really fun to hang out with him again soon. We're gonna hang out with him tomorrow.
With him virtually tomorrow,
Yeah.
And then we do have a few more other updates. Man, I am.
Marco says I'm Oprah.
Oh, look,
I don't know.
You can see me.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
David says rule number 1: always assume the mic is live. Yeah, I'm trying to learn how to do live things. I'm gonna mute my laptop so I don't have echoey Emoto now. Okay.
All right, we want to do more giveaways, y'all, because we have a signed translate to give away. And we do have some awesome Marco swag. We have some new sticker packs and we got some koozies. We'll be giving those away tomorrow on the after hours stream. That's going to start at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, sorry to interrupt. That's actually a great question right there. I don't know if Mike's going to stick around, but Mike, is there an MXV skill shot on this game? That is a spoiler that we should let out.
I know the answer to that, but if Mike's here, he can.
Oh, well, we'll wait for him to answer, but I'm very curious. It's always my favorite skill shot to try and get.
Oh, yeah, MXV Classic. And I still want to do, so my goal for Southern Fried, y'all, if you come, is for all the Stern games that we have there that do have MXV skill shots, I want to go one by one with Mike and record the skill shots.
And of course, he'll get them in one take, right?
Well, yeah.
Uh-oh.
He designed it, right? He should always be able to hit his own skill shots.
Sorry, people are talking about echo. I'm going to lower the decibel count of my voice.
It's me, not you. I just got to ride my mute button.
Make Kyle play the game. Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll have the game all set up in Bangback Pinball Lounge, which is here in Columbia, and Moto and I will be drinking and playing and talking with Mike, which will be fun. Yeah. Make Kyle play the game. It doesn't take much to make me play the game. This is a fun thing.
MXV is Mike Vinacore's. He's an associate game developer over at Stern Pinball. That's his initials.
Yeah, it's only taken me like many months, but Mike and I are working on a long interview, which is going to end up taking a year to edit down. But Mike has a very, very incredible story of working through coin-operated games. It has literally been his entire life, and it's fantastic. So please bear with me as I find time to interview Mike.
We should race. Let's see if
race.
Like me getting out the MXV skill shot compilation versus you getting the MXV podcast out.
Yeah, we'll see how that works. So Mike, that means we need to start recording like now. Steve got me a refill on my voice smoother. Someone heard that they're a good player. Whoever told you that is a gigantic liar.
All right, is everyone ready to see who is going to be the winner for the signed Mandalorian translate? And I will be honest, I'm not 100% sure which translate version it is, but Mr. Sharp and Roper over at Stern are going to hook us up. It's going to be great. And it's going to be signed by Brian, Tom, and then maybe a few other people on the team. Heavy hitters. Ooh, can you guys get it signed by Randy Martinez too?
Am I allowed to sign up for this? I really want one. I mean, I'm going to buy the game eventually, but I mean, come on, I'm about to translate now. Poland's working on his acceptance speech.
I know, and I'm sorry I don't have the little cool, fun little wheel going up for this one, but tomorrow when we do our giveaways, we'll have that fun spin the wheel.
Oh, and hey, really quick too, while Emoto's working on that and people are entering, you have asked and it has happened. We have PinTech koozies. It has a dot matrix where you can put your super sweet initials into, and the rad graphic that Emoto worked with Brad Albright. Oh God. To make a really cool design for us for a new season of swag.
Show them how to do it, Kyle.
Well, I'm not going to do it on camera because I don't exactly know the best way to make a KWS on the dot matrix, but you've got a grid. You can use a rad Sharpie to black out where the letters where your initials shouldn't be. So yeah. Need the dude to look like Kyle. Unfortunately, my royalties are way too high for this company to afford.
I'm not gonna lie, after we made this design and we were just trying to go for, you know, kind of, it could be anyone sort of thing, I looked at it and I was like, wow, we made a graphic featuring Mr. Loaf.
Yeah, it does look like Bad Outta Hell by Meatloaf's actual human body. Butterfutter, yes, I will send one of these with your banner. You do not need to give any money, don't worry. At least put him in shorts. Hey man, South Carolina is hot. These shorts are comical, yes. Yep, bottle opener, that needs to happen, Colin. We'll work it. Measle mods, oh, I gotta have that. The only GC I'll ever get. Kevin, okay, South Carolina hot and Texas hot. You can compete there. Our temperatures don't get triple digits all the time, but with 85% humidity, 90 feels like 130. Okay, so Emoto has a winner. I am watching her type the winner's name in now, and I'm going to try to keep my face neutral. Dalton. Hey, Dalton. I'm glad you've been here the whole time. Thanks for joining our stream. Oh, sorry. Well, no, I didn't say I would reveal it. You reveal it. Am I getting a Mando? I will get one eventually, but I don't have pinball money since I just bought a Deadpool. So people should come play my Deadpool, which then means I can turn that into another new game.
All right, y'all. The winner for the signed The Mandalorian Translite, graciously given to us by Stern Pinball, our awesome friends over there. It is, and remember, you have to be here to accept it. So hopefully he's here. The winner is Bruce Haley.
Congratulations.
Bruce Haley, are you in the chat?
You best be here, or else that means I get it. I'll split it with you. We'll cut it down the middle, Steve. Ah!
All right, Bruce Haley. Pinball Gramps is Bruce Haley.
Really? Oh, hey, congratulations. You misspelled Chris Doyle. Congratulations. You have the gift that I am very jealous of.
I always misspell Chris Doyle.
Awesome, man. Yeah, send us your email to marcotv@marcopinball.com, and we'll send that off to you in one of our koozies also.
Yay!
Yay. I hope y'all enjoyed that. That was really fun. It's hard not to fanboy when you're talking to people's names who you've seen on like every pinball game forever. Oh.
It's so exciting when someone expresses how excited they are that they're winners. I wish everyone was a winner, and I wish I could give you guys all prizes.
Oh, thanks everybody.
But to segue with that, we are doing our July 4th, our Independence Day sale. It's going on now. So head on over to our website. If you put in an order over $99, make sure you type in the code, all caps, Pin Day 21 to get your free domestic shipping and $10 off international shipping. So that's actually running through Saturday. The holidays are coming up very shortly. You want to play pinball with your friends and family, right? Because what else are you going to do? Sit around the table talking about politics?
Yeah.
Oh,
Barbecue or
turn
drink
on
or
the pinball machine.
blow things up? Nah,
Let that
pinball.
all go away. Yeah, barbecue. Make sure you wipe your hands before you touch those flipper buttons. And yeah, get your games up and running.
Yeah, well, so next week for PinTech, we're probably going to move the show time up a little bit. Next week on Thursday, my coworker Crystal and I are going to start our trek up to Milwaukee for the MGC Nights show. If you are in that area, I really would suggest buying a ticket to get up there for the overnight crazy extravaganza that the party, it's going to be really neat. So it's funny, we have to leave like normally right when PinTech would be over. So instead of canceling again, because that hurt my soul last week, I think we'll push back the time slot a little bit if people are into that. Maybe start at 2:30 or something like that so we can get a little bit of time before I have to make sure I have my luggage and jump on an airplane, which will also be kind of nerve-wracking, first time in a long time. But yeah, I don't know what I was saying. I got lost in thought. I don't know if that sounds good, if people will actually join. We're still kind of thinking about even moving this show a little bit further out, since everyone's kind of going back to work now. This time slot was kind of COVID specific.
Yes, that is my next topic, Christopher Doyle, which is also, just to remind you guys, I need to pull that link actually.
Oh, yeah.
The Project Pinball raffles for young Gilbert Elijah in San Antonio is going on. And are all the raffles complete? Either way, I'm going to find that link. And tomorrow, before our PinTech live stream, we will jump on the stream and do the giveaways with Project Pinball.
Awesome.
So we'll actually help them pull the raffle balls out. So Daniel Spolar drove to San Antonio yesterday and today. I think he's there now. They're going to do it, I believe, at What's Brewing. Stephen Bowden's going to be there to help them select all the prizes. And there was a lot of great stuff. There was a TMT playfield donated by Jack Danger and Stern. There was a Raza playfield.
Wow.
There was like a signed Barry Ausler headshot and some other stuff.
Man's a legend.
Amazing things. So I'm going to try to find that and drop it in the
Yeah, that's
chat.
great. I'm excited to do that tomorrow. It's going to be neat. I guess instead of talking about next week's stream, we should talk about tomorrow. Because Emoto and I will be playing this game tomorrow, and I'm trying hard to get as many people from the office to come and play with us, be on that stream. It'll be fun. Yeah, so also please come join us there, but also please come join us at MGC Nights if you live near Milwaukee.
Yep. So tomorrow, if you are in the San Antonio, Texas area, head on out to the Project Pinball Charity Meet and Greet. It's Friday, June 25th at 6 p.m. Central. And I believe that's around the time we will be doing the raffle as well. I just dropped that in the chat. That link. Oh, I need to drop it here.
It's scary posting Facebook links. It's like, what are they actually going to lead you to? This camera is scary. Emoto brought her like super fancy like camera, not just like a Sony Handycam that we normally
Doesn't
use.
Kyle look so beautiful?
And I can see like too many of my hairs in high definition. This is creepy. I got to stop looking at the screen where the chat is. Also, that being said, speaking of pinball on 4th of July, I think that would be kind of a fun thing to collect photos of if you're having your family over or something. Send us some photos of people playing pinball for fun. People usually get that day off, obviously. Well, actually, it's on Sunday, so everyone gets that day off, I hope. But, you know, it's a fun time to have family together, and maybe this will be the first time you're having your family come back over for gathering or something. I'd like to see people playing pinball with their collections or whatnot. This weekend, I'm going to a fella's house here that has like 15 games, and he wants to make sure all of them were perfect and ready to be played on July 4th. So that's going to be a lot of work, but it'll be exciting. Bringing playfield glass to PinFest. We are going to PinFest. I think we could probably do something like that. If Marco, if you're here, give a thumbs up or something, but I think that would be something. Priests don't usually get Sunday off. Yeah, that's true. We're lucky we even get Monday off. Maybe that's another announcement to give to the people that might still be here. Marco will be closed on Monday, July 5th. That matters. I mean, your orders won't ship out that day. Get them in on Sunday. That means they'll go out first thing on Tuesday. Yeah, first thing on Tuesday. Anyways, I really want to play this, but unfortunately, what we have to do now is take this thing apart and then put it back in a truck and then bring it back to the arcade that it came from. Again, thank you very much to Fred, the proprietor of the Bangback Pinball Lounge, for letting us use your beautiful Mandalorian to do this show. If we didn't have it, this show would have been really boring because you would have just been looking at me with talking heads. So thank you.
Yeah, I guess we could have put a green screen behind you and put you inside.
Kevin Moore says he approves of us being closed on July 5th because he will be on vacation.
Thank you, Kevin, for your approval.
Thanks. We try to ship things fast. I think that it's incredible. Sometimes, like when I would do customer service stuff, people would call and be like, hey, so I forgot to add something to my order. It's like, oh, dude, it's like already packed and like outside waiting for the mail carrier. It's like, but it was only like 30 minutes ago. It's like, yeah, we tried. We have to stop? I guess we should stop. Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you, Nolan. I was kind of hoping I could be in a Mandalorian cosplay as well. I feel like if I lived in Los Angeles, I would try to go be a Disney cast member to like be a stormtrooper. I think like a 6'8" tall like stormtrooper or death trooper would be a very imposing, scary character. I don't think the Mandalorian is as tall as I am. I don't think a 6'8" tall body is very good in hand-to-hand combat. I'm kind of lanky. So it would be really easy to hit my limbs. I don't know. Thanks, Daniel, for joining us from Croatia. I'm really unnerved by the fact that my body is the majority of the screen right now. We should end this. Don't have an enough battery.
That is my voice on the Marco recording. You know, I was actually, it's on my to-do list to get Kelly, who's one of our CSRs, to record it because she has the best phone voice ever.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Ever.
You guys should stop ordering
Mine sounds
parts
like a little
via
kid.
the internet and start just calling in so you could talk to Kelly.
Yeah.
I mean, all of our CSRs are incredible, but when you get Kelly, she's got a great recording voice.
All right, so Marco Ramirez, you're on the YouTube chat. How about you go ahead and head on over here to the top secret location of our Marco TV studio, and we can take this game back to Bangback.
Yeah.
And if you guys are local, we will see you at Bangback. We're going to bring Mando back. Let's play some.
There's nothing better than talking to Steve Young. Just talking to Steve Young imparts knowledge into your brain that you don't even know that's there. Agreed. Okay, good.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Oh my gosh, we have to raid someone.
Yeah, let's raid with our 64 Twitch viewers. That's cool.
Well, for everyone on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for joining in. We had a great time with Brian, Eddy, and Tom Kopera. If you missed the beginning, everything is archived on our Facebook and YouTube page, so please check it out. It was a great conversation. I loved seeing the 3D model. What is that program called again?
SolidWorks.
SolidWorks. That was probably the coolest part. We have to keep doing that because that was super awesome.
I think I need to go and write Tom and like beg him for a Grogu prototype. That might be the coolest piece of pinball history I might own if I would get one of them. But I probably won't. I'm not special. Yeah, what's he playing? Yeah, we have to. That's Brian Eddy's other recent game.
I Skidoo, you totally you knew we were gonna try to come raid you because now you're playing Stranger Things, Brian Eddy's other Stern game. He knew.
Oh, and Dalton is going live at 6. What's Dalton's Twitch handle? Dalton is an amazing pinball player here in the Southeast. Probably one of the best, if not the best, pinball players here in the Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina area. So if you want to see someone really good and teach you how to play the game, check him out. Yeah, thanks everyone. That was really fun. Oh yeah, check it out. It's Dalton 71611. The best show yet.
Oh really? Thanks. We were so nervous about it, and we still are kind of nervous. Are you calm? He's calm.
What happened?
I'm so nervous. There's a lot. Probably got to get done. Thank you, everyone, so much. We're going to go ahead and raid iSkidoo, and we will see you next time on PinTech Live next Thursday.
Yep.
At 2:30.
Yeah. Time to be determined. Earlier than normal.
All right. I'm going to wave. Kyle wave. Ah.